Either something is manifested or it is not manifested. In other words, there is no intermediate version between 0 and 1. In this specific context, the fundamental concept is that if you have manifested elements in one way or another, and these elements are right there in front of you, they provide you with essential feedback about who you truly are, simply because they serve as a direct reflection of your inner self. And if something irritates you, you should see that it irritates you. And in this way, be honest with yourself. And ultimately, instead of stepping on others, step on yourself. Usually, however, you look for ways to change your partner, rather than changing yourself so that your partner naturally changes. And here we will give a few exercises in this direction. But the fundamental concept is to return once again to the exercise of how genuinely aligned and truthful we are with ourselves, how honest we are in our reflections, how much we honor the commitments and promises we make when we say something, and to what extent, when we state a firm position, we truly have the profound and sincere internal motivation to follow through on those intentions.
And even if this sometimes requires us to put pressure on ourselves, from ourselves to ourselves, in order to truly achieve our results.
Actually, this is the only real way to proceed. In fact, if you don't push yourself, when you say something and are asked a direct question, to answer directly with a direct answer, there's really no way you can truly become honest. If to the question, how are you, you answer out of habit again, oh, I'm fine, or what was it? I'm fine, but I'll get better.
And the usual so-so, because that way I'm neither up nor down. It's convenient that way.
To put it in a slightly different way, you keep repeating your lack of alternative choices all the time. And if you do not have choices, we will talk about those specific choices in the next few hours. But before we start talking about these choices, and before I even begin to explain the way you stretch space and time, I want to explore how you yourselves actually create, make, and manifest this space-time reality right now. And then we can talk about manifestation, as so many gurus here have started to talk about. Only then should you begin to truly understand what it really means to manifest or to create your own reality. Because right now, you are already doing it, but you are doing it entirely unconsciously. So, with every remark like, that's not true, what kind of space-time are you stretching? I want you to become clearly aware of the two polarities within the source. The fundamental concept of the two polarities within the source, if you do not begin to fully grasp and understand them, you will not have any chance to express the essential truths that are necessary for yourselves. What do I mean by that? Because up until now, all my words seem to be just hanging in the air. What I mean is, if you were to simply say, I don't want French fries, does that truly and clearly demonstrate what you actually want? The idea is to understand this as a position, as a principle. In other words, when you say, I don't want,
For something specific to happen to me.
for something specific to happen to me, I simply don't want to be sick anymore, you actually don't clearly specify whether you truly want to be healthy or perhaps to eat something different from French fries and what exactly that alternative is. You remain stuck in the empty void of not making a clear choice. And then you are not creating your own reality, someone else is creating it for you. Think about that. And that's why we're talking about dendritogenesis. Because throughout your entire life, you've grown very accustomed to not stating what you want, but instead simply explaining what you don't want. I don't want this, but you don't specify what exactly you do want.
Yeah, and let me just add something here. Even when you do clearly state what you want, you always do it only within the very small and narrow range that you have as your own perspective.
Not only that, You hedge when you make that statement.
Even then, you don't do it principled.
Yes, but how? You hedge in making that statement. So that is the moment you state it, you're both this way and that way. Well, it could be this way, but it could also be that way. But is there a clear and definite choice? That's true.
Well, a lot of people will now say that yes, they do make clear and definite choices. And they've achieved so much, for example, through
What have they achieved?
visualizations, blah, blah, and so on.
Achieved?
Exactly. But actually, the main goal is to check how many details we've missed while performing all of those tasks.
Exactly. But there, you have to be honest. There, you have to draw the line and be honest. A lie, or
Either I'm honest or what was it?
wasn't it, are you lying? And there's some show like that right now. So,
If it exists, it does exist, yes.
are you honest or are you a liar and a cheat? And here you all constantly talk about the efforts you've put into something, but in reality, no one is actually showing their results. Where do you show your results? Where, for example, you say, I declared, for instance, that this morning I would get up at 6. And now watch this. You know, your words actually sound quite a bit like that classic old joke where two people are just sitting there talking and one of them suddenly says, well, on one of the very coldest winter days of the year, I always sleep with the window wide open. And on one of the coldest winter days, I still sleep with the window wide open. And the person standing right next to him says, come on, yesterday I actually walked past your place and your window was closed. Your reply is, well, yesterday was not really one of the coldest winter days. Have you ever truly stopped to notice the specific way that you lie and equivocate? And that is exactly how your entire existence seems to operate. In other words, there is no clear sense of decisiveness in the various positions you state. I want to try this. And when you say the words, I want to try, you should really try it until you master whatever models and specific methods are needed for that particular attempt. Whether you are cooking a meal, spending quality time with a partner, or simply starting the process of reading and writing. The idea is that in all these situations, you should clearly and decisively state your position without lying or equivocating to yourself.
And to connect it to some action and tangible results rather than just wishes.
What is your big sister telling you here? What I'm telling you is the next exercise, which I don't even know if I should give you. And that's why I've been talking so much up to now without actually giving you the exercise. The idea of this exercise, which your big sister is telling you about, is for you to practically and through practical actions close the door behind you so that you fulfill what you have said.